the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a certified high performance coach, a business coach, as well as a speaker, no other than Mr. Faisal Ensaun. Welcome,
Excited to be here.
welcome. Yes, welcome back, Mr. Faisal, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. I've been an entrepreneur for the past decade, business owner. I'm a high performance coach. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a community leader. I, my mission, my purpose is to serve leaders to support leaders to become better leaders in their homes, their families, their organization, their community, wherever they are. And I work with high level leaders at all those levels, from entrepreneurs, investors to or organizational leaders or community leaders. And it is all connected to how I grew up and how I understood what it means to show up as a human being and as a leader. And it is something that I feel like has come hard earned through the struggles that I've gone through. But in the process, I've learned to grow with it and actually make it into something that I can support others with.
The process to grow. We like that, Mr. Faisal, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And today, let's talk about dealing with trauma while on growth path. So
Mhm.
tell us, let's begin with the feeling. How does someone know when their growth work, like discipline or goal setting, optimism, is starting to clash with the or bypass or underlying unhealed trauma? What is the internal signals, Mr. Faisal?
It's actually fairly simple. Whenever you feel resistance, it's very likely that there's some kind of thing that's preventing you from moving forward. Now, most people look at trauma as this big thing that might happen to them. It was Dr. Gabor Mate, which is a great book for many people to read, When the Body Says No by Dr. Gabor Mate, who's probably one of the world's foremost experts on trauma at this point. But one of the things he shared that we have small traumas and we have big traumas. Most people, when they think of trauma, they think of big things like abuse growing up, physical, sexual, those kind of things, or social, whatever that might be. But small t trauma is actually, it could be as simple as somebody completely ignoring your existence in your life, or a parent that's distracted, or you not getting the attention you needed, or you're not getting the support or the challenge or the push you needed growing up. It will create some kind of uh, some way your body had to adapt to deal with that, and that's what we call trauma. And most people look at it as a negative thing, but I actually look at it very differently. If it wasn't for my traumas, I wouldn't have grown in the way that I've had. In fact, I look at it not as a way that stops me, but how can I look into it more that I can use it as a leverage. So even the way you ask the question, because most people think like this, is that how do we know that it's stopping me? But I look at trauma as it's the thing you can leverage to grow rather than the thing stopping you. But in most people's experiences, something, whatever you have resistance around, that could be, I want to do this thing, but I can't move forward. I feel stuck, or I get overwhelmed. I'm overthinking, or I feel afraid, or I can't take action, or I'm out, whatever that might be. Or it's probably something to do with your past training, and you don't know how to overcome it, and you're looking at it through a specific lens that's stopping you from it. It's not the actual trauma that's stopping you, it's the lens that's stopping you from moving forward.
Very well
Oh.
said, Mr. Faisal. There's a prevalent culture narrative that says, don't be a victim, be a hero. How
Mm.
does this toxic positivity or relentless forward motion actually re traumatize someone who is trying to grow while carrying their pain?
I would say there are extremes on both sides. Is like the one extreme is to be a complete victim of circumstances, that you have no power in the picture, and then the other extreme is that oh, you can walk through walls or barrel through walls, you can keep growing no matter what's going on. The reality is that most of us fall somewhere in between those two extremes. None of us are full victims, none of us are full heroes in our picture. We're dealing with a more nuanced picture here. But for most people, what that means is that either one of those perspectives can be extreme, but what is more useful is actually looking at your life more honestly. There are things you will not be capable right now because you're struggling. That's just reality. That could be your trauma. And no matter what somebody says about, oh, you can overcome it, you might not be able to at this point in our life. In your life, there was a long period of my time where I struggled and I couldn't move forward no matter what I did. And I didn't have the right support and I didn't know what to do about it, but I stayed with it. And the key was to stay with it and move forward and work through it. And for you, working through might be not doing too much, maybe doing one or two things. Um, uh, or you might be in a stage in your life where you've overcome a lot of it and now you're just creating barriers in your mind from moving forward because you're saying, oh, my trauma is preventing you. But what might really be preventing you from moving forward is the stories in your head that you're saying about the trauma. You might not be the victim that you think you are. You might be actually that hero, but you've been telling the same stories over and over that is keeping you from moving forward, or your mind more accurately stopping you from moving forward because you keep reinforcing the same stories.
Mr. Faisal, the concept of post traumatic growth is powerful. In your view, what is the fundamental difference between growing because of trauma and growing while healing from the trauma itself?
That's interesting. I mean, actually, this is the first time I've heard of it. So, can you tell me a little bit about post-traumatic growth? What is that?
Well, post traumatic growth, when you are still in, let's say, the first year of the trauma and you want to go beyond that trauma, you are
Mm-hmm.
growing for that trauma to
Mm-hmm.
let it go.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and repeat the question again as well. I'd
Yeah,
love to
so
hear that.
the concept of post traumatic growth is a powerful. In your view, what is the fundamental difference between growing because of the trauma and growing while healing from the trauma?
Thank you for letting me know about the terms. I'm not familiar with either one of those. I can only speak to my experience and those people that I've supported. What I know, what I've seen in my experience, and those I've helped around me, and I actually have trauma coaches on my team as well. So whenever a client gets stuck or they're not able to move forward, I actually forward them, like they do deeper work than I would do, even though I'm a trauma informed coach. But what I've learned is that you're always healing with your trauma, and there was a point where I had to come to this realization that my traumas might be with me for the rest of my life, and I can't treat it like that thing to get rid of, but how can I grow with it? What is it teaching me? Because ultimately, and is going back to Dr. Gabor Mate, who said something, he asked this question: is like, what if your trauma is the thing that went right instead of the thing that you think went wrong? Because most
Mm,
people are trying to get away from it. But the reality is that it is your body and mind's way of adapting to specific contexts and circumstances. That, for one, doesn't mean that you need to be stuck in it, because our human mind has an incredible ability to adapt and grow as well. But you have to look at it with a specific context, and you have to show up in a way. You don't have to, but you get to show up in a way where you can heal with your trauma, as you kind of framed it. But my experience has been like that. It's been, you heal with your trauma, in fact, not just with yourself. But I realized when I became a parent, I had all these ideas about being a parent. So like, you're taking care of these little children. I have three kids, and I realized in the first year that, oh, I'm going to be showing up with all of me, with my negative and positive side, with my traumas and my wins, with my anything. So I might as well accept that I'm going to be growing with these kids. The only thing I need to accept at that point is that, and that, you know what, I need to be honest with my level of growth. And I've try to consistently, as my kids are growing up now, tell them that, hey, I have struggles. I'm a human being. There are times where I don't know how to show up properly. There are times that I won't be showing up intentionally. There are times you're going to have to forgive me. And I don't just show up as a role of a parent, but in a role of a human being as well. And it's the same with me, that I have to accept that my traumas might be with me the rest of my life. I've dealt with them for the past 20 plus years, and the intensity has gone down, but they're with me. There are days where I struggle with them. There are days that I don't. But what has helped me is how I look at my life now, my lens, and how I look at the future. And what I see in the future is something positive. What I see in my life is something positive. I even look at my struggles as I've picked them. They're part of me. I need to work through them. So they are a path to my growth. So that lens has helped me a lot to work through them. That doesn't mean I'm always positive. I'm always jumping up and down. It just means a recognition that pain is a part of life, whether that's emotional pain, physical pain, any kind of pain. Is a part of life. And I love this distinction. Suffering is a choice. Most people suffer with their trauma because they resist the reality that it exists. But once you accept it, now you're working with it.
Very well said, Mr. Faisal. Very well said indeed. So, discipline is often celebrated in growth culture. When dealing with that trauma, how can we refrain discipline from practice of forcing oneself to a practice of a gentle, predictable self care that builds nervous system regulation?
Well, it depends what everyone is trying to do. Like if you're trying to, for example, build a business, a startup, or you're trying to achieve something that's hard to do, you might have to force yourself a little bit to be able to do that, because your mind is not going to cooperate in the beginning. But there are ways to go around it. And the way, at least I work with my clients, is that if you don't have a vision that's bigger than your fears and your pains and all the traumas that you've accumulated, the story you've accumulated, if you don't have a big enough vision, it will be hard to wake up and say, I'm excited to go towards it, or I want to go towards it, or it's worth for me to create some kind of discipline. And the way I look at discipline is it's simply structure. And pretty much all human beings need some level of structure. If you're, for example, you're recording this podcast, you need some kind of calendar system, a way to show up and be prepared and do certain things. There's a sequence that happens for you to make this happen consistently. It's the same thing with building a business, building a life, building yourself up. Going as simple as going to the gym, it requires some level of consistency. Now, that's a fact, but within that, it can vary a lot from individual to individual. Most people, the reason why most people struggle with discipline and structure, they try to compare themselves to other people. My
Yes.
structure is I have to organize my days based on my energy and my time and what matters to me very carefully, because my mind doesn't work like other people around me. I've noticed that. And if I try to copy even some of the books that I read, if I try to copy, and I have, it goes downhill really fast. It works for a few days, then it goes, because I'm trying to copy an instruction manual rather than listening to how my mind operates, how my body operates. That requires testing. So as an example, a simple tool is, you will gain a lot more out of your discipline if all you did was just take a visual calendar or something visual where you put down your time. uh, Even if you did nothing productive, even if you did nothing effective, like you spent 6 hours playing games, put that on it. 2 hours going away, 3 hours on your whatever, that you did that for a week or for a month. You put down everything and look at it. Then you're gonna just simply ask yourself, is this the life that I want? Because a lot of times we don't realize how much our mind lies to us. It tells us, no, I'm not spending that much time, I'm not doing that. Not in a judgmental way, but your answer is, this is not what I want, then what do I really want? That's where the bigger vision comes in. And then, well, what can I do to improve here? I don't need to go from playing games 6 hours a day to none. You don't need to go cold turkey. But what if you cut that in half and took out the other 3 hours to do something that matters to you, that you're growing towards? That could be going to the gym maybe for the 1 hour. That could be doing something else that matters to you. But ignore everybody else, start testing what works for you and what matters to you. When you do that, discipline naturally builds up, because you're building a structure towards something that matters to you versus somebody's idea of discipline.
Indeed, indeed, very well said, Mr. Faisal. For someone who used the goal achievement, a form of escape or validation, how do they begin to set goals are truly aligned with the healing integrated growth rather than as continuation of a survival strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say first recognizing that we all have unhealed parts of it, and we will require some level of validation from. Partly that's a human need to be validated, to be supported, to be accepted, and a lot of people who might have the need for validation have needed it for a long time. They've probably not gotten it enough in their life. And I can share a story. The first time I got around the right people around me, and it was with a bunch of other business owners who were doing the same thing, and it was on a virtual call. After the first week of being there, I just sat with it and I didn't realize how much I needed to hear words like, "Oh, that's great. Oh, I love what you're trying here. Oh, I think that's a brilliant idea." Like think I most people didn't understand me when I started a business like this. They didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't even understand what I was doing. But what I didn't need to hear was, "Oh, this is gonna fail. Don't do this." They were trying to protect me, but I needed to also hear some validation from the right people. But understand that it's a need. So create a group of people, even if it's one or two people that supports you and understands you. So it's not something, because a lot of people get the idea I should be able to do everything alone. That's not a real thing for human beings. We're a social species. We need family, friends. Those can support us, colleagues, mentors, those kind of things. But the key here is the thing to work towards is, and I actually work diligently with my clients, is one is a long-term vision of what matters to you, and really seeing that, not what matters to your neighbors, to your parents, to other people, but really what matters. This life is going to be short. What do you want to build? How do you want to contribute? What kind of life do you want to create? Not because somebody told you, but because this actually matters to you. And really sit with it and feel it. Once you figure that out, you have a vision, then set up your goals towards that. And then the other piece of it is your story. And a lot of people run away from their story because a lot of their stories mixed with pain, and it's hard to go towards uncomfortable pain. Make sense of your story. You can do that in therapy format and coaching format. Connect the dots of why you're here and how did you get here, because you've learned a lot of things but you haven't paid attention because you're too afraid of the pain. When you make sense of your story, when you look towards a future that matters to you, you start to live better in the present. Your mind doesn't drag you for no reason. Usually you run away from your past and you are afraid of the future most of the time because you haven't faced the past and you're not looking towards something that matters to you. You're just copying other people. If you don't have those two things figured out, you will always veer towards getting the pat on the back, even beyond the normal human need. Is like, oh, I need validation for everything. I need to so instead of doing the thing that matters to you, you're looking for who's going to validate it. So you keep going, and this is where people get affected by social media, by their family, friends, other people. Instead of doing the thing that they cared about, they start to please other people. I've gone on that journey too, so I understand that's difficult to deal with. It's harder done, but this where if you've done it for a long time, ask for support. It's okay to ask for support. I've had to get a lot of support on multiple fronts for me to grow as a human being because I didn't understand any of this stuff.
Very well said, Mr. Faisal. So, can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Well, that's a hard question because there are lots of books, but I'd say one of my favorite books in understanding ourselves is the autobiography of Carl Jung, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. It's a really honest look at how a more aware human being and somebody who understood the human mind very well looked at the world around them and within them. It's a fairly long book, but it's very useful. I'd say second was Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl. It's a short book, but it teaches you a lot about how human beings behave in extreme circumstances and what you can learn from.
Thank you for the recommended books, Mr. Faisal. And what will be your short term and long term goals as a coach?
Um, they're both the same overall, is to serve people. And at this point, I've been doing it for decades, serve more people. And I have two branches of my coaching. I serve my clients who are leaders and entrepreneurs, investors, leaders of organizations. But I also work with coaches to help them build their business, because many of them have sought my support with it because I've been successful in this area. So my goal long term is to build a better community to support coaches to build their business, because I know that there is a need for coaches, and this industry is just beginning to build. It's the beginning of this world, and I want to be somebody who kind of leads that process as well, because it's completely changed my life. It's given me my purpose. It's given me the way we've set up our lifestyle. It's given me the ability to support other people, families, individuals, communities, organizations. So that's the case. And other than that, just show up to be a better human being, better father, better husband, better friend, doing my best every day to do that.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Faisal, and looking forward for more success. And to wrap up our discussion for today, for the person listening who feels stuck in the cycle, if I need to heal before I can grow, what is the one small, kind, and permission giving to step they could take tomorrow that honors both truth, Mr. Faisal?
Oh, is that? Oh, are you asking me? I thought you were talking to the audience. Say that again.
Yes. So for the person listening who feels stuck in the cycle of
Mhm.
I need to heal before I can grow, what is one of small kind and permission giving to step they could take tomorrow that honors both truth?
I would say to spend some time alone, without distractions. Take half a day, whatever that is. Turn off your phone. Go for a walk. Lock yourself in a room with a pen and paper, and think about what you want, what matters to you, and where are you struggling, and honestly answer those questions for yourself, and you'll understand where to go.
Certainly empowering answer, Mr. Faisal. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
For sure. You can just, my website should be there. You can search for my name, Faisal Ensaun, or faisalensaun.com. You'll find me in many of the social media channels. I always lead with value. If you come, go to my website, download the PDF that I have. It'll give you a lot of value right up front. I usually do workshops every couple of months. Come there. It's completely free. You will see how I support people. I can walk you through that process. Excited to see you when you do show up.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Faisal Ensaun because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering coaching to rise. So, Mr. Faisal, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
What people, see you soon.